in an ongoing standoff with the U.S. over the North Korean nuclear weapons program as President Trump turns up the trade heat on South Korea. The president says he's raising tariffs from 15 to 25% because South Korea's legislature has been too slow to approve the trade deal announced last July. It included a commitment to invest $350 billion in the U.S. economy over several years. South Korean lawmakers have submitted bills to implement that commitment, but they're still under review. The spokesperson for the ruling Democratic Party there says the trade deal will be approved by the end of February. Chris Foster, Fox News. India and the European Union worked out a trade deal signed today that will reduce tariffs on each other's products. On Wall Street, the Dow might drop big at the opening bell this hour. Futures are down more than 300 points, yet NASDAQ futures have been rising as the Federal Reserve starts a meeting that'll end tomorrow with no interest rate cut expected this time. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News. 1490 WHBB Selma. This is Viewpoint, a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of AM 1490 WHBB. We welcome your input on the issues of the day. You can contact us on the Viewpoint line by calling 875-1490. The opinions expressed by our callers and guests do not necessarily reflect on the management and staff of AM 1490 WHBB. And now, here's today's Viewpoint.
And good morning and welcome into the Tuesday morning Viewpoint for this Tuesday morning, January the 27th, 2026. I'm your host, Randy Williams. 334-875-1490 and 334-875-1492 are the numbers to call if you have comments or questions. Remember, we're in that 10-digit calling period now. Well, we have to use all 10 numbers, including 334, to make a local call. That has changed, so keep that in mind. You can also join us live on our YouTube channel, the Selma Post Herald YouTube channel. And so how do you feel this morning? It's been cold. There's no doubt about that. We have been treated to a blast of cold air. It wasn't as bad as projected, more by a few degrees. It's still well below freezing. We've got 16 degrees. It's been fluctuating between 16 and 18 degrees reported at Craig Field. Today is Tuesday, so we got a couple of things coming up that I want to certainly make sure I bring to your attention. First, the Veterans Fair that is going to be held on Thursday. You know, I'm probably I guess I am the only one in my family, the only male that wasn't in the military. Everybody else went. My father wouldn't let me. I tried to go, before I was legally able to, and my father would not let me. He would not sign. And so he says, no, you need to do some, I was getting ready to go in for the wrong reasons anyway. I shouldn't admit it, but it was because of a woman. I wanted to be able to support her, right? Well, he said, but he was right. And thank you for my father. I thank the Lord for my father. I tell you, I was pressed into service, into radio at an early age, and I'm glad he did. Now, I would have never thought, but I was up 6 o'clock. I was at the WTQX at 6 o'clock in the morning with Ace Anderson. My father would take me to the station, drop me off to do sports, and he'd come back and pick me up and take me to Selma High School to go to school. I'd be there on time, So he pressed me in the service, and it turned out it ended up being a profession for me. But that's another story. But so there's some things coming up. Oh, so the veterans, that's what my father was a Tuskegee Airman, and he never talked about it though. I think I saw some pictures of when he was in Japan. We occupied, the United States occupied Japan as World War II was ending, and after the bombs were dropped, and so he was one of the troops, also as the Tuskegee Airmen in Japan. My second cousin, Mac Ross, you hear me talk about him a lot because he was the youngest commander, African American, and he was the first um, commander of the Tuskegee Redtails, but he died in the European theater in Italy. And you don't hear his name a whole lot. It's beginning to start in the surface now because this the picture of him being saluted by the general when the first five original Tuskegee Airmen graduated in West Virginia, and then they went to Tuskegee and trained the other pilots. And so you don't hear his name a whole lot because Hollywood would not agree to pay the family royalties. They did not want to give his mother uh, royalties for the movies in the movies, and so they could not legally, I guess, couldn't legally mention his name without giving him royalties, and so that's the main reason why you don't hear his name a lot. I don't know what happened with the other families. They obviously must have decided that they were not going to pay them royalties. That's liberal Hollywood. That's Hollywood. That it took them how many years? It took them almost 100 years before they started treating blacks fairly. I think the real first black role in terms of in a major Hollywood movie would have been Gone with the Wind, and then Sidney Poitier receiving the first Oscar for a black actor. I'm just saying, we forget that Hollywood was very insensitive racially. One of the first major films was what was it called? Born of the Nation. It was about the Ku Klux Klan, and I'm not even going to talk about how the way they the way they demean black actors and actresses in Hollywood from the very beginning. These are the same Hollywood folks that now, making a lot of noise, but don't forget, it's not good to forget. And there's still vestiges and still semblances of discrimination in Hollywood when it comes to African Americans and women. So I'm just saying, folks, we forget these people that many of us, follow loyally, and buy into all these narratives are the same folk that did everything they could to stop progress, but it didn't work. It didn't happen. I remember when The Color Purple was up for an Academy Award, and they used as an excuse not to give Danny Glover or Oprah Winfrey their Oscar. They said it was because Danny Glover was abusive, and his role was too abusive on Whoopi Goldberg. Mm. Anyway, I'm just saying, sometimes we have to look at these things, but that's another story. So going back to the veterans, um, so I've been sensitized to, and I know a lot of veterans, not just that I'm related to, but I know a lot of veterans that in my travels and in Selma, in Dallas County, and Montgomery, and I've had some pretty positive experiences with the Veterans Administration, at least trying to help get veterans their benefits if they are entitled to them. But the problem many times is not having the information and being able to get the information. Things are changing. It's not as difficult as it was. Oh man, I had a brother who was in that Agent Orange deal. He did 5 tours of duty in Vietnam, broke his leg once, and they sent him back. But he was there when they dropped Agent Orange, and so there was a long, hard process he's deceased now, but there was a long, hard process for veterans of Vietnam to get the Agent Orange benefits because they did have side effects from being in those areas where they were dropping those bombs. But so that has changed, and veterans need to know that. And then, of course, you've got veterans who have come back from Afghanistan, and and then there's some obviously some very real traumatic uh, injuries that took place in the Middle East. The Middle East, I'm told, was a different kind of warfare. Although the jungles of Vietnam was nothing to play with either, but the mountains of Afghanistan, there's something about that mountainous area that does something different, between the mountains and the desert. And I believe that must be one of the reasons why no one has been able to really win a war in Afghanistan. The only other country I know of that the West has not been able to infiltrate effectively was Vietnam and Thailand. It's a well kept secret, but not from historians, but Vietnam and Thailand, everybody had tried to get in there, from North Korea, South Korea, Russia, China, Japan. Nobody has been able to beat them militarily. So, and then in fact, I didn't realize how modern Vietnam had become until President Trump visited in his first term. He was in one of the Vietnam cities, and my goodness, I mean, it was really impressive from the pictures in the video. I think it was Hanoi. But anyway, so there's a Veterans Community Resource Fair coming up this Thursday, 10 a.m. at the VFW, 299 Kingsman Road, and it's free to the public. The last one I attended that I covered was at VFW. Mr. Roper, Aaron Roper, I think he's the commander over there, or he's the resource information officer. He sent me some information on it, and there were a lot of people at that one, and I was impressed by the fact that there was a number of what are called VA raiders on site from the VA administration's claims clinic. And they had people lined up, sitting down, but they were in line, waiting to talk to the various officers and getting information. There were a lot of questions being asked. They had a forum, and they were there, Johnny on the spot, as they say, and were given answers. They weren't sidestepping and trying to jive folk, but they were giving them answers things that people needed to know. So if you're a veteran and you've been having issues or problems with getting your benefits, there's some excellent educational and medical benefits that veterans have that you need to take advantage of, and I believe for children too, and so for your children. So make sure you go if you need to get some information at the Veteran Community Resource Fair this Thursday, 10 o'clock, 299 Kingsman Road, about block and a half, 2 blocks from not Broad Street. I always say that, from Highway 80. If you're coming across the bridge from Selma, you'll see the Strong's 3 sign, and then the light. Make the right there. If you're coming from the Selmont side, the Montgomery side, then when you get to the light, near the curb market, you make that left. That's the Kingsman Road, and you go down about a block and a half and look to your left. Okay. Then coming up on Friday, we've been having there's a lot of conversation, a lot of media attention centered around law enforcement. And I'm so glad and thankful that we don't have the same kinds of issues here in our area or in Alabama. Really, I don't think anybody really disrespects or dislikes law enforcement. I think we appreciate what they do. What we're watching in Minnesota, again, there's a substantial amount of paid protesters and paid agitators, and they're getting just what they wanted: violence. And they're getting a violent response because they put, in my opinion, they put the law enforcement ICE agents in a bad position. They have to defend themselves. What are you going to do? But the media, the narrative is ignoring a lot of important facts. If they're not, if you bring them up, they'll acknowledge it. But those guys, how would you feel if if somebody spit on you, right? Or if somebody took a bottle of water that it turned into a block of ice and threw it at you and hit you in the head, or start cursing you out? Or one guy, so he said, "Shoot me, MFer. Just go ahead and shoot me in the head, you coward." Be careful. Be careful what you ask for. So I don't know. Viewpoint, you on the air. Yes, sir. How are you this morning?
We owe a debt to our veterans, the men and women who have paid the price, who have spent blood and treasure fighting for our rights, and we don't take care of them. We're spending all this time rioting, marching, and everything up there in Minnesota is contrived. It's all planned out. I mean, it's easy for anybody to see that this is on purpose, what they're doing, and it's well funded and it's well planned out. And people are falling for war. If we took all that energy and turned it towards our veterans, so that we didn't have veterans living on the street, we didn't have veterans having to be able to get help. If we had veterans that were appreciated, it just amazes me to think about what could happen, what could get done if we take all this anger and turn it towards good and try to help the people who have paid the price so that we can live and walk these streets safely. It's just amazing to me that we don't take the time to show them the proper respect for what they've done for us.
Well, I heard one of the commentators over the weekend say that this situation in Minneapolis, he said, this is not a Selma moment. This is not the Evan Pettis Bridge where truly peaceful demonstrators, had the confrontation on the bridge and then the march from Selma to Montgomery. But Dr. King's movement of nonviolent, direct, civil, with civil and capital letters, civil disobedience, comes nowhere near what we're watching unfold in Minneapolis.
I heard some people here in town talking the other day about how they murdered that woman, they murdered that man. I said, what are you talking about? I mean, did you not see what you're doing? I said, Randy, I've had a license to carry guns since I was for 51 years. I was 18. I would go to a protest with a semi-automatic weapon with 16 rounds of ammunition. I mean,
in this day of mass shootings that happen almost every week.
Well, yeah, but those are people carrying a gun to fight a turf war or protect your drug trade. You go to a protest with 16 rounds of ammunition, you're looking for a fight. I mean, that's not for protection. I mean, if we need protection like that, maybe we need to get a tank to ride around in.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you this, and this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around. Why is it that even the peaceful protesters, some of the residents of Minneapolis that are getting involved, why are they so determined to protect illegal immigrants who legally don't have any rights? And they're human beings. You treat them like human beings, but if you've got a convicted rapist and convicted murderers that ICE is trying to get to deport, why in the world are they resisting that? Why are the local police and sheriffs not turning these when they come out of jail, instead of letting them out on the street, turn them over to ICE? Why is that?
Well, that's a political narrative. They American citizens to be in danger because they have the numbers that are going to vote Democrats they will remain in office. I mean, it's a price to pay to stay in power. They care nothing about the good of the country, the good of their constituents. They are doing it strictly to stay in power, and they've convinced low-hanging fruit that they're right, and a lot of these people don't have they can't do critical thinking, and they just believe everything that's told to them, and that ICE is evil, and that some illegal alien that rapes children it has a right to run the streets and get welfare and food stamps and free medical care and everything else. Common sense has got to take root.
What about the ICE agent whose finger was bitten off? Somebody bit his finger off.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Did you see the woman who tried to pick up a flashbang grenade to throw it back and it blew up in her hand?
I don't mean to laugh, but get her hand repaired. Well, you know.
They tore up a hotel up there. They thought they were staying in. There's just so much.
Oh no! Yesterday they found the hotel that they were actually staying at, and they were trying to make as much noise as they could so that the officers couldn't rest. What is that?
Well, it's not common decency. It's not. You don't care about your common man. Violently, I mean, protests should be. I mean, they should be dealt with pretty swiftly and harshly. And if you're standing on the street corner with a sign protesting, I don't have a problem. I think that's wonderful. But when you start getting in my face with a bullhorn, your action could damage my hearing. I feel threatened. Somebody else take a bullhorn and stick it somewhere. I mean, people would stop if the punishment was harsh enough, or it was at least dealt with evenly across the board. If you do this, we're going to do that. And these politicians are just egging it on. I think a lot of it is they're trying to get the focus
off of that investigation. Well, you know, and I happen to know that the Attorney General Ellison, you know, he's Islamic. He's a Muslim by faith, and when he said that when the protesters entered the church a couple of weeks ago, that they were exercising their freedom of speech, I wonder what he would have said if that had happened at a mosque.
They wouldn't have done it. Do you think that you can go to a mosque and start that without some repercussions?
Not without a revolution. Not without a military response.
There was a black preacher talking about, you didn't come into this church and start that mess. He said, God gave us the ability to protect, and this is his house, and you're not coming in here. And, you know, that's the way we ought to protect the Lord's house. And anyway, keep honest, I got no respect for these people. You know, I don't know when it's going to stop. I guess when we get fed up with it, but the problem is that all that goes on, the press sells this narrative, and we got people here in town, and I was just talking to them, you know, they murdered that woman. I said, what are you in the car? I said, well, she hit the police officer.
They hadn't talked about him. He's still recovering from the injury. But you know, I've got some other folks trying to get through. But you want to make a closing remark?
Yeah, you know, wonderful day, man. Don't get too cold.
Oh well, it's too late. but I'm warm though. I'm dressed warm. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Hello. Okay, that caller is gone. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Good morning. How are you? No doubt, no doubt. What's on your mind this morning?
people doing that, especially like at the hotel and everything else, like shooting up. And although there were 50,000 Minnesotans on the street on Sunday, so you were living, and there was no violence. I think most of these guys coming in are those people that advocate and go around advocating and mess around, because most of the time when you see those people on the street, they are there because they swim one block where the ice cream is. But the thing about it is this. It's like y'all just said right there. Bringing a gun to a protest. Well, didn't that do exactly what Kyle Rittenhouse did and killed 2 people?
Which one was that?
Kyle Rittenhouse up in Wisconsin. And he was tried, and he didn't even have to go to jail for it. The thing about it is, this man had a legal right to carry on. That man did not interact with neither one of the boys. They came at him. And the thing about it is, he was trying to pick up a woman. I don't know whether you saw it or not. He was trying to pick up a woman in the right, and he just came straight up to her. He said nothing and just shoved her down. I mean, hard. And he was trying to help her. He immediately started spraying him. Now, I don't know when he had a gun, we could attack him. We attacked him. He didn't put his hands on him or nothing, and they started going. And what about it is, one ICE officers had already jumped the gun away. Took away from him. And then somebody said, go on, and they immediately just started shooting. They shot the guy up to 10 times.
Yeah, it's too much I don't know about, but it's easy for us to make these judgments. But if I'm not actually there, and I know that it's a tense environment, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to see all of the information before I could make an informed judgment.
I saw already videotapes and everything that got out. This guy was already disarmed. The police started shooting. And they started moving, shooting 10 times. Come on, man.
Well, I hope that's not the case, but even if so, again, you got a real volatile situation, and I've got to give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt because too many things are going on these days.
These guys are in the militia. They are not. You want to see the ICE agents in this one, I don't know.
I may have said that 10 years ago, but when I witnessed what I saw happen at the Mexican border over the last couple of years, some of those people will do anything. I've got some other folks trying to get through. Let you make a closing remark.
Well, I'm not going to make any excuse for this. I mean, if you just look at half of the videos I've seen, when these guys getting killed out of cars, break windows, kicking people. I went to one day to see up in Minneapolis. ICE, this was last week, I think it was last Friday, ICE got rounded up 100 Somalians and flew to Texas. When they got to Texas, they went before the judge, and they were legally here. So instead of ICE flying them out, they just took my own state to them. Just get that all out here, however you can. I think something did it right.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not familiar with everything that's happening there, but I hear what you're saying. Now I got to go to the other line, but thank you so much for calling. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Good morning. How are you?
First of all, I would like to say I was in Vietnam, and I have to say I served. But my main reason for calling is, what are these people protesting about? It wouldn't make any difference if it was the National Guard, if it was the local police department, or whoever was out there trying to enforce the law. They would be protesting. Now, first of all, I'm sorry he got killed. I'm sorry he got killed, and I don't know what the circumstances were, and if somebody did something wrong, even if it was an agent, they need to be punished for it. But that being said, if he hadn't been out there trying to interfere with the law, he wouldn't have gotten shot to start with. Now, these people that they are protesting, I'm assuming they're protesting because they're trying to send illegal aliens, or whatever you want to call them, back to the country that they illegally came from instead of giving our country to them. Now, what's going to happen in the next election? election, and I still say that I vote for the person and not the party. But that being said, here lately, if a Democrat gets back in office as a president, they're going to open the border and we're going to be overtaken by millions more of illegal people that don't come here by going through the proper channels. There comes a time when we need to understand that we've got a country that God gave us and we need to appreciate it instead of giving it away to people that are trying to take it from us. So these people that are protesting and tearing motels, first it's sad that they can tear up property and not be punished for it. And it happens time and time again. They want to arrest these people for destroying this property, but they want to destroy the law enforcement agencies that are trying to keep them from doing it. And I just want to know what in the world, especially those that aren't aliens but actually live here, are out there putting their life on the line for these people that they're trying to make them go back where they came from and come back here through the proper channels if the opportunity arises. We're going to lose our country if these people don't wake up and quit protesting every time we try to enforce the law. I appreciate it, Randy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, noticeably absent is an African American presence. And as I've said, people that I know that live in Minnesota, African Americans, they went there for opportunities, for an opportunity to get ahead, to get a job, make a decent living, and have been quite successful with doing that. And remember, though, as far as African Americans are concerned, African Americans' ancestors did not come here willingly. We came here as slaves. We were brought here against our will, kidnapped, traded by some from some of the chieftains as prisoners of war, traded into slavery. African Americans, 99% of African, not all, there's about a percent that did get here, came here by choice, but 99% of African Americans came here in chains, not forcing their way into the country. But since from the Revolutionary War up until now, African Americans have bled along with our white brothers and sisters and fought for freedom along with our white brothers and sisters. And so we have a stake, but we did not come here. We didn't choose to come to this country. And so I noticeably absent from the Minnesota protest, where in the same city where the George Floyd situation sprung, is an absence of African Americans. I wonder why. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
And any Democrat or whoever you talk to, will tell you the same thing. They're not protesting for King's witness numbers. They're talking about the regular people that these people are picking up and abusing them. I mean, just straight up abusing these people. I mean, really some people died in West Custody last year now, and just now this year, we ain't out again really yet, and 6 people already died in West Custody. Now, what he said about that guy that got killed, he wasn't near ICBs. He was standing on the street filming, and they came to him. And they didn't come to him. He wasn't going where he was. See, that's the tactical in people. Just run on anybody in gangs. I mean, if you've seen the video, 6 or 7 guys on them just pick him up.
Well, let me ask you this though, and I'm just curious. I mean, I know I wouldn't have. I know one thing. If I was headed to a protest, if I was getting ready to go into what I knew was a volatile situation, I kind of doubt if I would take, even as a licensed carrier, I doubt if I would take a pistol with me, semi-automatic pistol, and if I did take one with me, I would certainly have identification on me.
They don't even know that guy had a pistol until he went over there and harassed him. He did not harass them. He did it right there. The person, he was filming them. He was about 100 yards
Yeah, but if you're trained, but you know, some of these law enforcement officers are trained to be observant. I don't know where the gun was, or if it was visible, if it was open carry. It's too much. I don't know. His holster. So if he had a holster on, if I'm in law enforcement and I'm studying, you know, the crowd, I would notice a bulge and a holster on your person. Huh? You don't know that. You don't know that. Yeah, but you've got the left though. People like AOC and Bernie. And I hate it. Even though Bernie Sanders, he makes some good points, but these guys, they are openly open borders. They believe in the international community. Open borders is what they have promoted and pushed. And well, the proof is the 10 million that they allowed to come into the country, and they were silent about for at least 2 years. I have to laugh. Look, I got some more folks trying to get through, but I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you for calling. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Every one of these things that he's talking about, and he says he knows beyond the shadow of a doubt everything that he's saying is true. That gentleman, again, shouldn't have been there protesting, because what they're trying to do is arrest people that have broken the law, and they're not abusing those people. When they fight back, naturally, they're going to fight them too. But again, and I don't know his name, and I apologize if I offend him, but he seems to think he knows everything, whether he was there or not. And I don't know where he's getting the information, but we need to fight for our own people and not illegals. That's all I got to say. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's take this break. I'll be back with more after these messages.
With our friends at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC in historic downtown Selma, serving the area for 80 years. Barry Parker is with us right now. We're talking 2026 has just arrived.
That's right, George. New Year kickoff. Hey, now I haven't been here for 80 years, but I've been in the business for a little over half of that. But we have been located right here in downtown Selma for 80 plus years, and we're doing business, to you, George, the old-fashioned way, working one deal at a time. We want to get to know you and your family. We want you to become part of the Reliable family. So come by and see us in the market for a new Chevrolet or GMC or even a pre-owned automobile. We have got you covered there for all your driving needs. And then same thing with service. We can do all your service work. We can do all your financing. We're, as I say all the time, we're a one-stop shop where we sell them and service and do the financing for you right here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC.
Now, you mentioned the financing part of it. There may be someone along the way that has had a little credit hiccup or a hardship in the past. We're looking for good people, not necessarily good credit, right?
That's right, George. We're set up with credit acceptance. They're known to help you reestablish your credit. Hey, it could be, several reasons why you have some credit problems. But as I say, it's not a problem here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC. We can get you reestablished and get you riding today.
All here at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC. Come see the difference about local treatment in Central Alabama at Reliable, where they truly have it all. How's your circulation? Do you suffer from fatigue, leg cramps, weakness, or pain in your legs when walking? Do you often have to stop and rest before you can continue? If so, you could be suffering from PAD, peripheral artery disease, blockages in your circulatory system. It may be time for you or your doctor to get in touch with Alabama Vascular Specialists. AVS is growing and serving our area with the most advanced vascular surgery and treatment available today. Dr. Ralph Red, Dr. Irwin White Giddens, and Dr. Richard Tan are changing lives for the better when it comes to the vascular health of their patients. Other factors include high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, smoking, and high cholesterol, all big contributors to poor circulation and vascular problems. Not to mention family history. ABS can help put you on the road to recovery. Offices in Montgomery and Selma. Call 334-801-9952 and online at alabamavascularspecialist.com.
Good morning, I'm Jasmine Williams with WSFA 12 News, and here's what's happening this Tuesday. School is back in session across our area this morning, but a couple school systems have delayed starts because of the freezing temps. Alex City schools are delayed by an hour and will be serving breakfast upon arrival. Tallapoosa County schools are delayed by 2 hours today because of the freezing temps. Several people are picking up the pieces in this cold weather, recovering from storm damage ahead of the freezing temps. Severe thunderstorms swept through our area Sunday. Along with those thunderstorms, we now know an EF1 tornado caused some of the damage in Lowndes and Montgomery counties, including in the Hope Hull area. With all of this, the governor expanded her initial state of emergency to include Geneva, Houston, and Montgomery counties. And warming centers here in our area have opened doors to help those in need during this cold. There are warming centers in Montgomery County, Tallapoosa County, Elmore County, and more. I'm Jasmine Williams with your morning headline.
1490 WHBB Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning, Randy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Just trying to keep warm, Randy.
Well, I'm sure it's a challenge. How are you doing this morning? What you got on you? What's on your mind?
I just wanted to make this announcement about the pop-up wellness health fair that we'll be having in Ward 7 at Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church, February the 3rd, 2026. We will start at 12:30 to 4:30, and I just want to encourage you, a lot of people to come out and get it's good for
Hello?
keep our health up.
Okay. Make sure you send me an announcement so I can, so we can make that announcement for you to continue to remind people, if you will. I need to. Okay, thank you. I gotta take this break. Thank you so much.
Hey, neighbor, you ever endured a horrible toothache for several days?
Hello?
Call the dentist office and they can't see your symptoms, or worse,
Yeah, I was calling you because I was wondering, do you repair heads?
In today's world, repairing your vehicle to showroom condition demands cutting-edge technology. That's what you get at the all-new George's Paint and Body Shop in Selma. After tornado damage total reconstruction, George's has the latest advanced technology, especially designed for today's multi-tech vehicles. The Bosch calibration system restores safety features like lane departure and collision sensors. The two new Chief frame machines and computer laser measuring system delivers pinpoint accuracy down to the millimeter. And the two new downdraft paint booth units provide perfect quality refinishing. And with the reconstruction comes a much larger facility designed for an increased capacity and quicker turnaround time. George's deals directly with your insurance company, but they work for you. Call to schedule your estimate and repairs today. See you pros, Eric and Scooter Hunt.
Yes, sir.
George's Paint and Body Shop, 1215 JL Chestnut Junior Boulevard. Or call 334-872-1441.
Oh, you just call me. Yeah. you must be returning your calls, huh? That's all right, no problem. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Located 7 miles out of Summerfield Road. Your tear damage vehicle repair specialist. Hughes Body Shop.
We're with Mary Parker and our friends at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC in Selma, serving the area for 80 years. And it's a brand new year, Mary.
That's right, George. It's hard to believe that 2026 is here, but we're ready to kick it off and get it started. So we invite you to come down and see us in the market for a new Chevrolet or GMC. We have got the inventory from trucks, from your small trucks all the way up to the heavy duties. Same thing with your SUVs, whatever you're looking for when it comes to a new Chevrolet or GMC. We invite you to come by and see us.
Of course, when you're talking about new Chevrolets and new GMCs, you've got to be talking about everything from the Trax to the Equinox, right?
And that is correct, and all the way up to the Yukons and Tahoes, Suburbans, Yukon XLs. Folks, whatever you're looking for when it comes to a new Chevrolet or GMC, we invite you to come by and see us.
Barry, when you're talking about reliable, you're talking about great service with just about any name brand that needs service. You can do it all except for warranty work on the non-GM brands, right?
That's right. Warranty or recalls we can't do on non-GM product, but everything else, from oil change, tire rotation, new tires, brake batteries, belts, hoses, transmission, engine, whatever you're driving, we want to do your service work right here. And George, don't forget about the free oil change when you get to that 5th oil change. We want to get to know you and your family. We want you to become part of the Reliable family here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC, located in downtown Selma, 14 Florence Street. Stop by and see us, or give us a call at 872-2337, or check us out on the website at reliablegmc.com.
1490 WHBB Viewpoint. Okay, that call is gone. 334-875-1490 and 1492 are the numbers to call if you have comments or questions. And so I was talking about the first responders and law enforcement. I was wanting to remind us that on Friday, First Responders Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And, just think, when we're in trouble and if there's a fire or if you get sick, or any other number of things happen, the first responders and law enforcement are the people who are there for us to help us. And they do an excellent job there. Many times they put themselves in harm's way. And so I think I'm glad to see that this has been going on for some time now. They rotate the churches. Each year is a different church that hosts the law enforcement first responder annual appreciation day. This year is at the First Baptist Church downtown at 325 Lauderdale Street. Complimentary meals for first responders and law enforcement from 10:30 until 12:30. They usually have a pretty good meal. Okay. At 1 o'clock, though, the public is invited to a special celebration service where many of the law enforcement and first responders are honored with awards and, presentations. And so that's this Friday. Viewpoint, you're on the air. Yes, sir. How are you this morning? Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, it could have been worse, but we kind of dodged some of that bad weather that they got in Montgomery and Lowndes County, huh? Yes, sir. Well, we were blessed. Yes, sir. What's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, I hear you talking about all those folks that hit up there in Wisconsin out here getting all injured and every damn thing arrested. So I'm thinking about it. The only thing I'm going to do is mean by his arrested by him because they ain't going to go there in the mail. He is hit by his politician by his involved in it. They are sworn to uphold the law and to take care of the citizens of the U.S. Behind the hill, that happening by his agent, trying by his giving legal by his on, a free pass. Oh, those are things that free passes. We had to work in struggle for our world we get. And I tell you, these illegals, if they were so big and bad over here, how come they weren't big and bad over in their country? And how about somebody trying to Supreme right? I mean, how come they had these big and bad over in their country? How come they took over their country and made it better? Because they can't. They don't want to. These politicians over here, they go to other countries, and I hear talk a lot of smack, open that mouth, and all hell breaks loose. I think these ain't no politicians that need to be held accountable too. They need to go jail right along with the illegals. What do you think?
Well, I've never seen the mayor of Minneapolis and the governor Walz, the kind of comments that they've. Matter of fact, Walz even implied and hinted that there should be a civil war, and then the mayor gets the request the National Guard. When all of this conversation is going on, they're posturing themselves for one of the reasons why the Civil War did start was over states' rights. But thank God there's only one state that's acting like this, and that's Minnesota. I don't know what these guys are thinking. I don't know what kind of world they want to live in, but I hear you. They need to be held accountable, and we haven't seen the results of this investigation into the billions of dollars that the governor has decided he's not going to run, but it was on his watch that billions of dollars have been confirmed stolen from the country.
Well, the governor by here is kicking down by he can not run the next election. I think by here, I think right there and then by here, he done grown smart, he done grown some common sense. He knows by here, he done open his mouth, had his hand caught in the cookie jar. You better get the hell out before somebody takes him out.
Well, he made a smart. Yeah, he was smart. He's smart. He's not. He knows there's going to be a lot of heat on him, but he still may not get. It depends on to what extent he's involved. I don't. Somebody knew something. Thank you for calling. Yep. And so as we get ready to wind down, so don't forget the first responders. Oh, and there's one other thing too on Friday at 10 o'clock at what used to be Taylorsville, Tuskegee. Tuskegee University is having that supply chain coordination symposium. And if you go to selmapostherald.com on the homepage and scroll down to about the third announcement under the slogan, you'll see that says supply chain registration link under the flyer where you can register. They can only seat 100 people. That call is gone. And so that's a real important thing because we've been if nothing else, we should have learned from the pandemic and what we had to endure with the supply chain issues, and we're still dealing with depending on the product. This is for child nutrition directors, institutional buyers, grocers and distributors, farmers. If you're looking for new markets for your agricultural products, the Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries is going to be doing this networking and learning at the second annual Alabama Supply Chain Coordination Symposium. And that's this Friday from 10 until 3 at the Black Belt Marketing and Innovation Center. It used to be Taylorsville, 4100 Highway 80. And the seating is limited, so you need to register. No cost to attend. Lunch will be provided from 10 until 3. And again, there's a link provided on the selmapostherald.com, and both on the home page and on the community calendar page. Scroll down and you'll see the ad, and the link is right under the ad. Okay. See you tomorrow morning, the good Lord willing. Thank you for listening, and thank you for participating and calling for those who were able to. You have yourself a safe and enjoyable day. Try to stay warm. It's 9 o'clock on WHBB Selma.